Hey, what's up? I'm K-MELO. I'm at Sonic Kitchen Volume 3, presented by Soul Passion Music. Check it out. I used to listen to a lot of hip-hop music. This is back in like 93, 94. And then I went over to Australia to study high school and university. Sort of like the later years of my high school, through internet, I got into turntablism, scratch pickles, Beat Junkies, executioners, and that's kind of like the introduction for me in terms of DJing goes. And then after high school, went to university in Brisbane in Australia, and just picked up by a couple of the DJ guys there that I knew. And they kind of took me under their wings and taught me how to scratch, and I started to actually practice, and eventually started doing gigs with them in Brisbane. And that kind of fast forward to when I graduated, come back to Hong Kong just around 2004, and started to learn, meet more people in Hong Kong, started to get into the scene, the parties and all that stuff, and I guess just went from there. In terms of scratching, the key aspect I would approach it as almost kind of like playing an instrument, and you would have like your control hand and your hand on the fader, which is almost just like a guitar pick, or and you would almost like interpret that in your mind, that how you want to play it, almost just like a jazz player, how Cupid would put it. So you have your high pitch, your low pitch using your control hand, and your crossfader hand is simply just cutting the sound, making the variations. So that's kind of how I would approach it. Of course, like I won't be as good as Cupid and all those guys way far, but I guess that's how I would approach that in terms of dissecting scratching. In terms of influences, I think in a global scale, I come from the hip hop and scratching perspective, so a lot of the turntablist guys like the Beat Junkies, Babu, Shortkut, J.Rocc, Cupid, all those guys, they definitely influenced me a big way, how I got into DJing and all that. And also the people that I used to roll with, turntable Jedi's, DJ Sheep, those guys, they're still, kind of my mentor to me. And later on, when I came back and I started to spin a little bit different other stuff, like house, techno, disco, I was really influenced by a lot of the DJs from the JAZZY Sport label from Japan. Being able to meet them in Hong Kong and see how they would play and incorporate not only just hip hop but also dub music, disco, house, all that. So that's like a really big influence, and also people from the house music scene, Theo Parrish, Moody Man, even older generation like Ron Hardy and all that. So I think those are like kind of the main influences in general. Locally though, I think there's still a lot of good DJs in Hong Kong, definitely. People like Roy Malik is definitely one of the biggest inspirations. Like I remember when I came back from Australia almost 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, looking at magazines of local parties, and you would always see, Roy Malik is, always there on hip hop or funk and, soul, to even like house music parties and stuff. So I always wanted to meet him, and then now that I came back and I met him, it's like one of the biggest, it's like, wow, it's like an idol that I finally get to hang out with, and he's actually cool about it. So, we would learn, I learned a lot from him, from watching him play. And he would, tell me a lot about the disco music, the stuff, all the rare stuff that he has. And also, a lot of other DJs, like, guys at XXX, they're really inspiring too, because they're doing a lot of, cutting edge, more, hip hop kind of trap music and stuff. Guys like Reflex, even you guys doing this music institute, it just keeps me going in terms of, pushing quality music and teaching people about it. The scene in Hong Kong, I think, actually there's a lot of people that likes good music here. I do think that. It's just a matter of how we could draw them all together. You have people that follows really good reggae music, they know about it. People that follows good hip hop, house music, whatever, etc. As a DJ, we have that responsibility to draw these people together, because at the end of the night, if it's a good party with all the different kind of good music that everybody likes, I think you can't get better than that. And I guess in Hong Kong, you still have a way to go to achieve that, but I think it's not as bad as everybody thinks it is. there are actually a lot of people that knows about good music. It's just that, you know, in terms of the scene itself, there are a lot of problems too. I mean, the venue himself, they have to face, you know, the rent problems, turnout, you know, profit, all that stuff. But I guess, you know, we can only try to support as much as we could and build something out of it, you know. And I think if you ask me, looking back 10 years ago compared to now, Hong Kong has definitely changed in a better way too. So, you know, I do have, you know, more hope about Hong Kong. You know, it's definitely changing. JAZZY Sport is a label that actually started not in Tokyo. It started in northern Japan, a city called Morioka. I think later on, Messiah kind of took that name and moved to Tokyo and wanted to open a kind of like a small branch in terms of a music label perspective, but also as a music store. So he took that, opened up a music shop in Tokyo first, and then started to build up all the artists that you know that are signed under the label now. The concept itself is also very interesting because why they call it JAZZY Sport is because of the teamwork concept. If you look at sport, the teamwork behind a good sport team, it's almost similar to when jazz players are playing on stage. When they look at each other and they would have that connection, they know what to do next, you know what to do to make that whole song work. And that's where they drew the concept from calling it JAZZY Sport. I was actually one of the first people to bring JAZZY Sport out of Hong Kong. There was somebody else that did that before, and back in like way back in 2004. But I initially brought Mitsu the Beats and the manager Taro to Hong Kong and for a show, and I guess that's how I developed the first connection. And after that, it was really Tora and Taku from Oma when they went to Japan and, you know, made the connection closer and tighter. And then after that, I guess one of the CEO, Messiah, started to come back to Hong Kong to visit more often and try to build more things with Taku and Tora, and started the concept of JAZZY Sport Hong Kong, which I'm lucky to be one of the members. I would say why I would love DJing so much is because really in terms of the music itself, when you hear good tunes or when you find, you know, stuff that you don't know and you go home and you check it out and it's like, wow, totally mind-blowing. I never knew about that. But also because I think DJing is a really good balance, you know, when you're stressed, when you're not happy or something, or when you're happy and you have this energy that you want to share with people. I think that's one of the biggest part of being a DJ, you know, when you bring your vibe across and make people dance, even though they don't know the music, but they could enjoy it, they have a good night, and I guess, you know, that's, well, you know, job well done. So, yeah, I guess that's the energy that keeps me going, and I like to keep doing that.
Pleasure, man.
All right.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Did well too. One man.
Me, man. It was all me.
Saw him.
This guy.
Thank you. Thank you.